Hi, I'm James Johnson, founder and CEO coach. Welcome to Peer Effect, the podcast where your peers will tell you what's unlocking their 10 million plus business. My guest today is Mariane Bekker, founder of Founders Bay. It's a community of 200,000 founders, executives, and investors built to bring more diversity into tech. And that's in just under 2 years so far. We're going to talk about the power of community and how to build it. Remember to hit the subscribe button before we get started. And now on with the show. So Mariane, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here again.
Yeah, I mean, we've known each other for a while now. It's exciting. I'm really keen to see how this is all kicked off for you, this community. But before we jump into that, what brought you to the idea of the community?
So I was always passionate about promoting more women in tech. So that's been my passion ever since I was really young. And one of the ways that you could do that is through community, right? So that's something that originally inspired me. But now I run Founders Bay. We're a community of 200,000. And it started by accident. So I had a company, a recruiting company, which we talked about previously. And then I wanted to grow that company. I wanted to also get mentorship on it, and I wanted to meet other founders who could help me out and can bounce ideas off. So then I started going to all these events, but I would find myself always being one of the only women in the room. And it was really hard to find out about the VC events. They were very exclusive. So then I'm like, okay, well, what if I start reporting on the events happening so that other women can find it? And what if I meet and I try to gather a community of women founders that could support each other? And that's how my community got built. And throughout the last 2 years, we've grown tremendously up to 200,000 people now. And we just recently expanded to New York, which I'm super excited about.
Amazing. And is that 200,000 women or 200,000 women plus allies?
So it's not only a women community. So about 50% are women, 50% are men. But a lot of what we do is trying to, empower women to speak on panels. All our events compared to other tech events, 50% of the room is mostly women. And then we have also a women-only event, but it's really a community for any founder, any VC, with a mission of empowering everybody, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of socioeconomic classes, etc.
And what do you think it is about this idea that has grabbed attention in the way that it has? Clearly, get from nothing to 200,000 in under 2 years is is rapid. Why do you think that is?
It's because compared to other communities. So right now, if you, for example, go to a tech event in San Francisco or a tech event in New York or really any places, you walk in and 95% of the room are all men. Women are not present. Then women are not present in these conversations, but yet we build 35% of all tech companies and we're 50% of all users. So who wants to walk in a room and not see diversity, right? It's not the same energy. So our event, our Founders Bay event, are completely different. You walk in a room and you see the world represented. You see 50% of women there. You see women on stage. So it brings a different kind of energy. So all our events now are always sold out. And similar for LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, we do a lot of social media. So I personally do a lot of social media. I'm very active on social. And 8 out of 10 of tech influencers are men. So women are not represented. So having this women voice, one, doesn't only attract other women to join our cause, but it also attracts men because they don't want to always walk in and have no women around. So that mission really resonated with everybody. All the men come to me and they're like, well, I have daughters, I have mothers. I love the energy at your event. So it's not only a community for women, it's just a community that represents the real world. And I think people are loving it.
So if you go back to these rooms where it's kind of 2% women, despite saying sort of the much higher participation rates, what do you think has been driving that traditionally?
I think it's because in like if you, for example, all the other events, if you look at the event, on the panels, typically there's almost no women represented, right? So like women do not even see themselves represented in an event, or they go to the event and then they look around the room and they're the only women there, right? And whether you want it or not, if you walk in and they're in a room and you're the only woman there, you will be treated differently, right? And sometimes it's not a pleasant way to be treated. And who wants that? So as a result, it makes it that women do not want to come to those events. But what happens is that in those events, like when you start going to the event and building your network, that's how you get invited to other events. That's how you get your name out there. And traditionally, a lot of those events, especially like founder VC event, have been very exclusive. People do not know about them. It's just invite only. And if women are not in that network already, right, it kind of propagates that. So that's how we're so different, is that like every week I put like 10 events happening in San Francisco, 10 events happening in New York. So we are the opposite of exclusivity. We actually make it open to everyone. So one, women see each other there, but also know about these events and want to come and want to join us.
So it's both the sort of just the awareness and then the actual experience once someone arrives.
So when they arrive at the event, basically they are either greeted by me or my awesome community leader Pramanya, and then they walk in and immediately it's not a room just full of men, right? They see other women building the same thing. They see men who are supportive of our mission, and people just are there to help each other, because like being a founder is such a lonely job, right? It is not easy to be a founder. And in our events, what we do differently is we remove the labels. So we don't have people fill out their name, because we don't want somebody to just talk to somebody transactionally. We want them to build real connections. But because we host so many events, right now it's a community. It's like family. People see others they recognize. People see their friends there. So they walk in and immediately they feel like they are part of the room. They are family. And then we typically have panels. That's kind of our signature event move, where the panel also represent the real world. We typically have like at least 50% women, men on the panel. We talk about real challenges. We don't keep it superficial. And then our panel is very like community driven. So it's members from our community who are on the panel, and then we open up half the panel for questions in the audience. So really, Founders Bay, it's not about one person. It's like community driven. Even our workshop that we do, so we host like 3 workshops a week. It's all from the community. So people from the community, they want to grow their business. They give the workshops. They get the visibility in the newsletter, but at the same time, it helps others because others get their knowledge. So as you can see, it's like really by the community, for the community, and it's like community who leads the company.
Okay, and so once you've got this community, so you've now got 200,000 people, so other founders listening and sort of thing that they might like to do, like build communities, how do you leverage that in terms of how do the members individually, what are they getting from it?
Yeah.
And what's the sort of purpose from sort of a starting it perspective?
So a few things. So as a founder, one, you want to get the knowledge to grow your startup. You want to hear from expert on what is happening in AI, for example. You want to hear an expert, how do you structure your cap table? You want to hear about like best practices in hiring. So every week we have like 3 different workshops that you can join and just hear about that. So yesterday, for example, I did a workshop on how do you grow your LinkedIn branding. So we went through different profiles and optimized it. And then as a result, now everybody who attended gets an awesome LinkedIn profile. So that's one part. It's really like what you learn. The second part is the connection that you have. So in all of our events, we have tons of VC joining us. So during the event, you get these connections, and we have almost every one of our like breakfasts, we bring in like 10 VCs. Almost everyone, there's a founder that finds their VC and get funded sometimes on the spot. So that's the second thing, is connecting with VCs, connecting with other founder. And the third thing is, I vibe coded this. I'm a coder by heart, which I'm super excited about, which is our Founders Bay online platform. So people can go in, they can see all of the members, they can message them right away, and then they can get matched with investors. We also have like deals with them. So we provide them deal with Brex, with Fidelity Share, shares with UDoc. So really, this platform online, anybody can sign up. They get access to the membership, they get access to the event. And we're really opening up a world to them where they don't have to feel alone anymore. They have the resources that they need to grow their startup.
And you said that you've just opened in New York. Are all of your events in person or are some of them virtual?
So we have 3 different type of events. One in person in San Francisco and the Bay Area in general. We now started also doing events in New York, which I'm very happy because my dream has always been to live in New York. And then all our workshops are virtual. We also have virtual pitch nights. We have virtual group sessions where you have a group of founders that come together. And then every week we meet and we kind of share war stories with each other.
How do you then maintain this sort of, as you get to 10,000, it starts off, it's very community, you walk in, you know people. It starts getting to a size where, let's say at 200,000, you probably aren't going to know everyone at that stage. How do you maintain that sense of community as you get bigger?
So as we get bigger, so our events, we still cap it to at most 100 people joining. So it's not like you walk in a room and you see a row. And then it's just we have multiple types of events. So for example, tonight we're hosting a Women in AI event, and that's just very specific to women. Then we have another event which is like, okay, specific to founders who are fundraising. Then we have another type of event specific to AI. So we basically just create events and target it to different segments of that audience. But when you join the event, you still are only meeting like 50 to 100 people. And because our members are so engaged, by going to events, like every event, I know at least 10 people because they always come back. So it's more, we didn't change the quality of the event, we just changed the frequency and the type of events that are happening.
I suppose what I'm asking, like, you can sort of ramp up number of events, but I suppose and you will see people when you go who you recognise. As you grow, you will see people you recognise maybe less and less, unless just because you're putting on all these different events. How do you maintain that sort of community cohesion?
Like the community feel, yeah, that's a good thing. So part of it is during the event, like we usually put panelists from our community. So the people that you've met at event, you see them on stage, you get to learn more about them. And also we personally facilitate connections during an event. Let's say I meet a founder and I learn that he is building or she is building in the fintech space. I'm like, oh, go and meet the other person. And then also now we build an online platform that before the event, you can log into the platform. You can actually see all of the people who are attending. You can message them and see their LinkedIn and kind of get a meeting with them set up before the event. So at the event, you're like, oh, I saw this person online. I saw this person online. And then afterwards, you can message them right away. So you continue getting these connections. But it is a hard problem. So we're always thinking about like creative ways to solve it.
I think that's a great idea, the sort of the pre-connection. We've all been to so many events where like, there's bound to be in this room people that I should be talking to. I'm just not going to find them in the next hour, 2 hours, except by complete serendipity, which is a poor business strategy.
Exactly. So that's why this platform really helps, because now suddenly you can see who it is. You can message them even during the event. You can message them on the platform.
Nice. So I think it's good to sort of jump back to sort of how you actually build it, because clearly you get to the stage where you've got 200,000 people, you have events, like there's almost like a positive network effect where it starts growing if you've got the credibility. A lot of people listen and go, okay, that sounds great, and I can see the benefit. I today have a community of, I don't know, 0 or a close group of friends. Like, how do you actually build a community from 0 to 200,000?
Yeah, the reason why we grew this fast is because we basically figured out a flywheel. And that's how you want to do it also for your startup. Is like, if you want to grow fast, you got to figure out a flywheel where every component of the flywheel builds onto each other. So our specific flywheel is we have the events component, right? During the event, people can find us, and then we post our events everywhere. We post them on Luma, we post them on Cerebral Valley, we post them in all the popular newsletters. So people find us during the event, and then also our own community, right? The second aspect is keeping that community engaged. So we have a WhatsApp group that is very popular where people can communicate with each other. We have the online platform where people can message each other. And we also have the newsletter where we put updates. So if you think about it, like events bring more people to the newsletter bring more people to event. That's part of the flywheel. The third part is social media. A lot of communities, they don't do that aspect. We put everything we do on social media. So more people find us on social media. Through social media, they find our newsletter, they find our events. So if you look at the three components, they're always all feeding onto each other. Because we have more people in the community now, they are liking our posts on social media. Social media, now we get more visibility because we have more engagement. Because we get more visibility, now we get more people at our events. So it's always a loop growing. So when you're building community, I really encourage you to kind of put these together, not just build something in isolation.
So I can see how that really works now. It does feel like a very clever flywheel. 2 questions then. How long did it take you to figure out your flywheel? And at the beginning, it feels like, let's say you're relying on being found on social media to get more likes. At the beginning, you don't have 1,000, 10,000 people liking stuff. You've probably got 2 or 3, maybe 10. So how do you get through that early stage?
So I started on social media because social media right now is one of the biggest distribution channel that exists. What you do on social media is basically you figure out what is unique about you and what do you love talking about. In my case, what was unique about me is that I've been a director of engineering. I was always one of the only women in the room, and I'm also a woman founder. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So I figured there's two different ICPs that would follow me, women founders or women engineers. So I started doing different pieces of content that would resonate with both. And then I would A/B test what works, what doesn't, how many likes one gets, etc. But then to get visibility, what you do is you identify basically 10 influencers on the platform of your choice. So for me, it was LinkedIn. You see what content they produce and you get inspired by that. So you kind of start doing social media, you stay consistent. So after maybe 2 or 3 months of just doing that, I started having a small following of amazing women founders who were following me. And then I did my first event, which was a dinner at a Lebanese restaurant. And I'm like, okay, well, nobody's going to show up at the event. It's okay. But you know what? 8 women showed up. And it was incredible. 8 women who followed me online showed up. And that was my first event ever. But those women, they loved the event so much that then they started referring me everywhere. So then on social media, I started posting about that event. So that got a lot of post and visibility. So it was kind of by accident that it happened organically. But I would say just be nimble and flexible and try out different things. Be consistent. Sometimes you're going to put a piece of content even now that receives 2 likes, right? And you feel like it's the end of the world. But you know what? The next day you'll post another one and it'll go viral. So you never know what works and what doesn't. It's just about keep trying.
So it feels like you hit on your flywheel quite early then.
Exactly.
Terms of, but there was quite a lot of thought that went into it in terms of your position, your personal positioning, testing what was working, and then doing more of what did work.
Exactly. So it was all by accident. I just wanted on social to talk about being a woman in tech. I just wanted to follow my mission, right? And then I found people who resonated with me. And that's the beauty of social media, is that you can always find people that share the same mission as you. And then it started probably working after 3 to 4 months. And yeah, it was completely by accident. But then once I figured it out, oh, that's the flywheel. That's how you grow. We just continue doing it over and over again.
So was that were you actively sitting down drawing out your flywheel at sort of various stages? Or is it something that you now sort of can look back and go, oh, that's how it sort of happened?
No, absolutely. I didn't even know about the flywheel. I had read a book, and the book was about how do you grow your startup. It's through like this flywheel effect, right? And then when I started getting traction on social media and I started getting traction with my events, I said, and then I started looking at other community organizers, and I'm like, well, why are we growing so fast, right? Like, how do I maintain this community and how do we grow faster? And then I kind of remember this flywheel cycle, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's why it makes sense. It kind of, we did it by accident, and then it got unlocked by me. I'm like, okay, now I get it. This is why we're growing so fast, because like within a few months there were communities that were there for like 2-3 years, and we overtook them in terms of numbers. We started being, and then they started reaching out, and I'm like, but why, right? Like what is unique about us? And then I realized it's the flywheel, but it's also our mission, right? It's like we are very strong in our mission. We do not, like, we always talk about it, and that just creates so much loyal following that it's something that you cannot reproduce anywhere else.
Have you found that with sort of the change in maybe like political landscape and sort of the slight backlash or challenge to a lot of the diversity message that has happened in the last 2 years, let's say, has that hurt or strengthened you?
I think it's, you know what? I think now like diversity and DEI, all the like words that were used in the past to help empower women are being seen as a bad thing, right? Just in general. And I do feel like that's why during at Founders Bay, like we don't necessarily, we don't say we're DEI group, right? We talk about how we are just an inclusive community. So I think it did definitely hurt women just in general, because there was so many programs, especially in corporate America, that helped women just, get the same opportunities that men traditionally had. And then a lot of women group around me in the last 2 years closed down because their funding got pulled away. So it definitely did hurt, but we're not letting that stop us. Like, we're saying, you know what? If people fight against that, we're just gonna fight harder. We're gonna fight smarter. We're gonna play the game, but we're going to make sure that we come all together and we support each other in that. So I am hoping that we are going to make a difference no matter what the environment does to us.
And I mean, you've traveled through over 40 countries, so you've got sort of quite a broad view of people. Has that changed about how you actually do bring people together?
Absolutely. So everything I learned about community, I learned it by my culture, by the Arabic culture. So I'm Lebanese. I grew up in Lebanon, and until I was like 6 or 7, and then I moved to Canada. But when I went back to Lebanon, like, for example, I would be at my aunt's house, and then the neighbors would just walk in. Like every day, like 5 neighbors would visit my aunt, and then my aunt would go and visit the neighbor, and it's unannounced. Like, there was no announcement. Take coffee, you go to your neighbor, and the neighbor welcomes you, and they open the door for you. And then if you have any trouble, you go to your neighbor, and the whole neighborhood goes around you. And then family just helps out. So that aspect of community, I really saw what it is to have a community where you're not living alone. Like, it is not an individualistic community. You can literally walk into anyone's stranger home and they would welcome you with open arms. And just seeing that inspired me for Founders Bay. I'm like, well, why can't we recreate that here, right? Why can't you have a community where anybody can walk in? We're gonna welcome them, we're gonna introduce them, we're gonna give them the resources that they need without asking anything back, because we know that the community is helping us out. So that aspect, everything I'm learning from that. And another thing also, for example, in Lebanon, like, because we're not an individualistic society, even the way that we eat, like, we eat family style. We don't have this concept of you go to a restaurant and you order your own plate. Like, you go to a restaurant and the whole meal you order, it's family style, right? And I bring that to to my events as well. It's like, let's experience food together. Let's go to restaurants where we are family style. And it's been working well. I'm just like really enjoying that part.
What do you think then that founders do wrong when it comes to building trust within the community?
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing I see is like a lot of founders, they are so scared to just put themselves out there and just talk about their idea and what they're building because they're scared that somebody is going to come and like take their idea out. So they put like stealth startup, and then they're very secretive. They don't say who they're talking to. They don't tell people like how much they raise or who they know, and they kind of go in this like, I am so scared to be out there because what if somebody just steals my idea? And that one, you isolate yourself, right? Because like if you're not sharing your idea, people don't know that they can help you, right? But if you go out there and you're like, hey, this is what I'm building, at the end of the day, it's not an idea that makes or breaks your company, right? It's your execution, it's your following, it's like your own competitive advantage. So you are just not getting the feedback that you need to grow. And also you are isolating yourself, which means that your network is going to be way smaller than if you go out and just shout it out of the rooftop like, hey, this is what I'm building, I need help with XYZ. You'll see people just swarming around you helping you out, and I think that's the biggest mistake that I see.
I think also the more specific you can be with your ask, the easier it is for someone to help you. Isn't that right? Like you can go, if you're going, oh, I need help, that's not but you go, ideally I'm doing this and I need to meet this person who's got this set of skills, and that's a thing that really moves the needle. That is if someone can help you, that's a very easy thing for them to help you with because it's very low thought.
Exactly. And that's what community is, right? It's a group of people coming together, helping each other out. And then also people don't realize that, but there's actually this psychological effect that if, let's say, you feel that somebody does not like you, go and ask them for a favor. Why? When you ask somebody for a favor, right, and they do that favor for you, they're going to start liking you right away because in their mind, they already helped you out. That means that cognitively, they have to like you. So then they start liking you even more. So it's like if somebody's helping you out, one, it's going to increase their likability to you. You're gonna like them more too because they just did you this favor. So at the end, you build stronger relationships that way.
That's very clever. How did you figure that out?
So I think I am a nerd about psychology and I read tons of psychology book, and that was a way that you get somebody like you feel like they don't like you. So you just ask them to do a favor for you. It's kind of counterintuitive, but most people, when you ask them for help, right, whether they like you or not, they will help you out, right? Because it's very hard to say no, especially if you're in person. So that's how you get them on your side.
Hey, I'm British. We often feel very awkward about asking people for favors because we don't make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, actually, it's the opposite. If you ask for a favor and they do it for you, you're gonna get a loyal friend for life.
Sounds like you actually need to open one in London and just change the whole culture. This is the next city.
You know what's interesting is that the second country that we're the most popular with is London. So after I expand in the US, I do want to expand to London.
So for sort of founders listening to this, what's sort of the one thing that you would say they could do today that would help them either start or maximize their use of a community?
I would say start going to events if you haven't, because when you go to an event and you build those one-on-one relationships with people and then you continue going to the events and seeing them, then you can meet investors, you can meet your clients, you can meet other founders, especially now with the rise of AI being everywhere around us, right? Now you don't even need to go to a therapist. You can go and you can talk to ChatGPT. People need this in-person connection more than ever. And they are like really needing it. Like we, at the end of the day, humans, we are not meant to be alone, right? We are meant to live in a tribe. So when you start going and building your network, like there's so many opportunities that happen that you may not have thought of. Like for me, I started social media to really grow my business. But then when my social media worked, I closed down my business to focus on community. So you never know what kind of opportunities are out there for you. But that only happens when you start putting yourself out there and meeting people.
Now, founders often would say, I'm very busy already. I don't have time to do a whole range of things. Going to an event can be time consuming. Go to the wrong event could feel like a waste of time. What would you say to a founder going, I just don't have the time to go to events?
Yeah, well, part of being a founder, right, means it's not only about like building the startup, it's about building relationships. So you need to find clients, you eventually need to fundraise. So you saying you don't have time for an event, you're missing the opportunity to actually meet like other investors, right? Like you need that, you need to meet those people. So I would say to them, like, it's just part of your role as a founder. It's to get clients, it's to build the relationship, to fundraise. So don't see it as like you're wasting time. See it as an investment for the future when you want to fundraise, when you want to get clients. So you got to find your balance.
I think it's a hard one to find, isn't it? I mean, it becomes easier as you grow and get into like Series A, Series B, Series C, because you have a team to do a lot more of the data and you can be on the business. So for your members, what stage are they normally?
So the people who mostly attend events, so the earlier stage, they're at the pre-seed seed stage, just because like that's where going to event is so critical, because at that point, like you don't have as strong of a VC network, right? You're still trying to figure out how to find product market fit. So having networking is very, very critical. At the point where you are at Series A, Series B, Series C, you already raised like millions of dollars in funding, right? So at that point, you have a go-to-market team, you have a investor relation team, like you have people that could do that for you, and you already have the network built because you obviously raised a lot of money. So I do see mostly like early stage founders joining us, especially founders who are from other countries. So that's how we have such a big international. Actually, that's when I segmented my list, that was the biggest surprise, is half of our audience is international. And I'm like, how is that? Because we are very like SF focused. And it turns out because when people come to the Bay Area or when people come to New York, they don't have a network, right? And again, everything is so exclusive that Founders Bay become their door to Silicon Valley. So we're kind of the door into this like founder VC world.
Man, it's really interesting, and you can see how much it's resonated by the fact how fast it's grown. And thank you for the honesty on like sort of I think often it's tempting to go, oh, I had a master plan, and look. 2 years later, ta-da! Whereas actually, as you said, like it's about being humble and sort of doing research, but then iterating, and it will all come together. And sometimes the realization is like you put the post-rationalization on something that you were doing instinctively.
Exactly. And also, I think that's something that I learned like from engineering is like when I was managing engineering team, it was not like having a 5-year roadmap, right? It's about being very nimble, which is okay. I'm going to plan out my next week or my next 2 weeks as a sprint, learn from that, and then update my plan as I go. And that way of building products far outweighed the old school way, which was like you plan out like 5 years in advance. And because at the end of the day, like even if you have, it's always good to have a North Star. My North Star is to really change things for women, right? Like that will always be my North Star. But in terms of like day to day, being nimble and just saying, hey, I don't know what I don't know yet, right? Like, but I'm going to try it out. I'm not going to be scared to try that are new, and then reflecting on it, what worked, what didn't work, and going all in on the things that work. So if you build that way, just having that attitude, you're going to grow faster than everybody else because you're learning as you go, you're open for feedback, and you're just improving whatever offering you're giving because you're listening to your customers, you're listening to people around you.
But I think, well, a nice wrap up on that is that I think that what you're trying to do is just so important that it feels like you've got to get both sides right there. You've got to have a message that actually really cuts through and that people want to support, because you've had the best mechanism in the world. But if that's not right, it's not going to go very far. But at the same stage, even I'm sure there are other people with a similar drive, but actually putting the flywheel and doing it as a product, it sounds like you need to get both sides right. Have a message that cuts through and a flywheel that works.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mission side is so important, especially today, because everything now I feel like is AI generated, right? But AI does not have a mission. That's so human of us. It's our consciousness. It's what makes us want to do better, right? It's our ability to be able to have a retrospective and think, okay, well, why am I doing the things that I'm doing, right? What is the purpose? And that's going to differentiate you. That's going to give you an edge over AI because you're human. People will relate to you. So figure out, you don't have to have the same mission as I do, but I'm sure that you're doing something. You're not doing it randomly, right? Why are you doing that thing? And just express it to the world. And then you'll see people who resonate with you. And you'll have friends and allies that are going to be there for you when you need them the most.
Well, Mariane, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and lovely to catch up again.
So nice to catch up, James. Thank you for having me.
Remember to subscribe if you want more actionable insight from founders scaling now. Thanks for listening.